that also looks like it's working. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I guess we're live. Okay, there's Carrie. Thanks for coming, Carrie. Okay, let's see. Is this working on YouTube? I don't know. Fuentes something. Hello. Thanks for coming. I can't tell if this is working on YouTube or not. It doesn't look like it's working on YouTube. Maybe if I refresh it. Maybe. Duplicate stream key. Select new key below. Go live here. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know what that means. So I don't think it's working on YouTube. Yeah, I'm not sure though. I'm not really sure. Hey Zishan, someone wants to join the call, but I can't figure out how to like see you on this phone anymore when you join. So I don't think it's a good idea anymore. Yeah, I can't see you. I can't see you. So I don't know if someone's doing something weird or inappropriate or not. So I don't know why that stopped working for me. Yeah, I don't know. So sorry, but until I figure that out, then there's no more joining the call. Sorry. Yeah, you can ask your questions by writing if you want. Yep, so Pabanyadav also wants to join, but for now, the answer is no, because I don't know how to see you. It used to bring up like a little bottom window, and I could see the person, you know, what they were doing and what they were saying and stuff. But now I can't. I don't know why. So sorry. I actually thought it was very good when people join the call. It's just I don't have any control over it now. So I guess you can't. Sorry. Universal Prince, can you see my comments on YouTube? Well, let me see. No, I don't think so. I'm not sure if the YouTube stream is actually working at all. Is it? Can you see me on YouTube, Prince? I'm not. From what I'm looking at, it doesn't look like it's working, but I'm not sure. Maybe it is working. YouTube is working. Why? Well, it doesn't. The analytics are not working for me. So I can't see myself. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so why do we use passive voice? That's a good question. Duplicate stream key. Select a new key below to go live here or switch to our weekly live stream 12024. Maybe I'll just press that button. See if that does something. Oh. Okay. Yeah, now, yes. I can see your comments now. Okay. So now it's got me streaming on the live stream for the 20th, which we didn't do because I had to go do my new student orientation for my master's program, but I guess maybe I could just change the date. I don't know. It's weird. Hey, Nevi. Alrighty. Okay, so let's see if there's any questions. Oh gosh, yeah, it's so hard to use this here. All right, let me post my questions here itself. Okay, then I'm joining there, then see there. Okay, great. Yeah, that's cool. Now, Zishun has a question about the passive voice. Right? Why do we use the passive voice? Well, I don't often use the passive voice at all. Right? But like, why would people use it? Kind of a tricky question there. Let me think. What would be some reasons why? So, if, in the active voice, in the normal way that we communicate, we're putting more emphasis on like the subject, the thing or person doing something, right? But in the passive voice, we're putting more emphasis on like the action itself or the object, all right, rather than like who's doing it, right? So let's see, like, let me think of a good example for this, right? So, let's say, let me type here. Okay, that didn't. Okay, let's pull up a text box, please. There we go. Size 24. All right, so Universal Friend says, when we don't want to mention the doer of the action / when the doer of the action is unknown or not important. Yeah, sure, yeah. So we're like emphasizing the action itself rather than who or what is doing the action. Let's see here. The new gym was opened last week by the community center. All right, the new gym was opened last week by the community center. All right, so here we're kind of emphasizing the object, the new gym, and what happened. It was opened by who? The community center, right? Or it's like we don't really care about the community center, but in my mind, so this is the passive voice, passive with the object and action emphasized. The community center opened a new gym last week. All right, so here the community center opened the new gym last week. So now we have the active, more normal way of saying that, and it's emphasizing like who or what did this thing and what the object of that action was. All right, so if we want to emphasize that, then we can do it that way. All right. If the subject is completely unknown, right, like what Prince was saying, if the subject is totally unknown or unimportant, or perhaps even if it's like obvious, right, when the doer is obvious from context, all right, then maybe we don't need to mention the subject at all, right? My car was broken into, or my window was broken. All right. Someone broke into my car. Someone broke my window. All right. Passive versus active. All right. Why do we use do as an auxiliary verb with I, while I is a singular pronoun and do is used with plural pronouns? Okay. Interesting. So the do versus does, all right, It's the same reason with the I. It's not whether it's singular or plural that actually matters. It's whether it's first, second, or third person that actually matters, right? It's the third person singular that takes the S. I do, he, she, it does. I go, he, she, it goes. All right? So you're thinking about that in a pretty accurate way. It's just incomplete. All right? So singular versus plural is not the only thing that you're considering. It's second versus first, second, or third person. Right? It's the third person singular that takes the S. All right? All right, we go, they go, right? That's the third person singular, or sorry, first person plural and third person plural. Right? All right, wait a minute. Yeah, sorry. So it's the third person singular that takes the S like that. Okay, so that's an easier question to answer. I'm gonna the passive voice question is a pretty big topic, so I'm gonna talk about that maybe a little bit more. And again, if you want to see what I'm writing or like drawing or whatever, you can always watch on YouTube. Okay, you cannot see this on Instagram because for whatever reason I cannot stream on the computer on Instagram. So yeah, keeping that in mind. Let's see if anybody's commenting on YouTube. Shoot, where is YouTube? Here we go. Here it is. Here we go. It's working. How to use rings a bell. The Prince. Now I am not confident with my English speaking. I will definitely join you on video call once I become confident. Well, Prince, I mean, I think I've heard you speaking English before. It sounded fine to me, but you know, to get confident, you're gonna have to do more speaking anyway. So, recommend to just jump in and do it. But right now, I'm not letting anyone join the video call because for some reason that I don't know, when people join the video call, I can't see them. Right? So how am I going to test that? I don't know how to test it. So I have never talked to you, James. Okay, I've had a lot of people call in before, so yeah. Maybe if you can send me a private message with a speaking sample, and I can give you some pointers if you want, Prince. Right? I think you can record voice messages and send them on Instagram, right? Pretty sure you can. Maybe. I think you can. Here we go. Let's see here. Zichan says, than they is third pronoun. Well, yeah, it's third person plural. Right, is the thing. Gotta focus on. There's more than one part of that. It's first person singular, right? First person plural, third person singular, third person plural. If you're only worried about the singular plural, or if you're only thinking about the first, second, or third person, then you're not looking at the complete picture. Okay, so you gotta think about the whole thing there. I can totally understand some people are behaving inappropriately in almost all the live sessions. Yeah. Well, I don't know. You know, some people call in and maybe they're trolling, but I don't care as long as they're asking some sort of relevant English question, or heck, even culture question is also fine. All right, I don't really care, but for some reason now I can't hang up on people. I can't end their call, and I can't see them, so I don't know what they're doing, right? Which concerns me because I get some very disgusting and inappropriate pictures and videos from time to time. So, yeah, right? I don't know why. Why are people sending me these things? I guess they just are mentally ill. They got some sort of mental problem. I'm not sure. Oh boy. Okay, Prince, I'm going to get to these questions, I promise. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about passive versus active voice, okay? So we can answer some more of that question that Zishan has, right? Sometimes when we're using the passive voice, it's when we're trying to sound more formal or perhaps impersonal, right, in some kind of academic writing, like in a science journal or in some very official document or very formal report, right? Like, I don't know, let's say the experiment was, experiment was conducted under normal atmospheric pressure, and temperature. All right, that passive sounds more formal and less personal. We conducted the experiment at or under normal atmospheric pressure and temperature. Active sounds more personal. All right, so like in, here we go. Let me label these. Emphasis on the action or object. Down here, action, subject, unimportant. Down here, we got formality, and impersonality. Impersonality is what I should say. Personality. Right, we don't want it to sound personal. Right. Let's see. I think these are three main ones. What is the difference between present simple and present perfect? How many situations do we use present simple and present perfect? Okay, well, I'm going to answer that question now because, again, it's pretty easy. Zishan, you're talking about things from an incomplete perspective, right? Present simple is a tense. Present perfect is not a tense. That's not describing a tense. It's describing a family of tenses. All right? For instance, present simple is a tense. Present continuous is a tense. Present perfect simple is a tense. Present perfect continuous is a tense. Present perfect is not describing an actual tense. All right? It's describing a family of tenses that involves present perfect simple and present perfect continuous. Okay? So this is an incomplete understanding of what perfect tenses or present perfect tenses are. There is no present perfect tense. It doesn't mean anything. That's not describing anything real. Present perfect simple and present perfect continuous are the present perfect tenses, right? It's like saying animal versus dog, right? You could say, look at that animal, right? Okay, technically, yes, it is an animal. But what kind of animal is it? It's not giving a lot of information. You say, look at that dog. Now that is giving me a lot more information. All right. Then how many tenses are there? Oh, let's see. Tenses? Okay, well, I can't just answer your questions. I have to answer Prince's questions too. So let me write that down up here in my screen, right? Zishan says, how many tenses are there? We've gone over 3 different uses of the passive voice and like why we're using them. Sometimes I'm just going to go over a couple of more reasons why we might use the passive voice. I'm not going to write them down though, right? I wrote down like kind of the top 3. We might use the passive voice if we're trying to avoid the responsibility of something. We're trying to be more diplomatic about something, right? Instead of me saying, I broke the window, I might say, the window was broken. Like, who broke it? Me. Right? Your car was wrecked. Like, okay, who wrecked my car? I did. Right? So, mistakes were made. Well, who made the mistakes? Me and my team. My team made the mistakes. Right? So, it's like kind of trying to avoid responsibility of something by omitting the subject. Right? So, kind of weird. Sometimes if you're like a professional writer or a poet, maybe you just want to switch it up for style reasons, stylistically. All right? I have told many stories about Middle Earth. Okay, many stories have been told about Middle Earth, right? Okay, great. Well, either way, both fine. It's just sometimes you might want to mix it up because you're tired of using the active voice all the time. Right? Maybe. Right? How are your brother? I don't have a brother, Nassim. You meant like, how are you, comma, brother? Oh, pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. So, yeah, just, working through my live stream. I got all of my textbooks for this semester late, so I'm behind on all of my reading. I have a lot of reading to do this weekend, and then I also have to write a couple of papers. The papers I'm not so worried about. I'm kind of curious and interested. I want to dig deeper into this field here. But yeah, the reading, I really got to get more reading done. It took me too long to read the first 2 chapters of one of the books. I think I'm taking too many notes. Right, too many notes, I think. So last night I started the second book and got halfway through the first chapter, and I took less notes, and I can get through it much, much faster without taking so many notes. But, it's my master's studies. It's not like undergraduate where I just want to read through it and get through it, right? Zishan, I told you that I'm going to answer that question, and I will. However, you're going to have to wait your turn. Please. Okay? Just a little patience is all I'm asking for. Now, because Prince had a few questions of his own, and we're going to answer his questions. But let's see here. Let's close that. We don't need this. I guess maybe I can just answer that question pretty fast. How many tenses are there? Oh my goodness, Prince, you're asking 7 questions here. All right, we're getting a little bit too much there, buddy. I'm going to answer 1 or 2 of these, and then I'm going to go over to Zishan's question. So Prince wants to know how to use rings a bell. Right, rings a bell. How do we use rings a bell? So if something, let me type this down. Size 24. I wish I could make that default to size 24 font, but I have to change it. If something rings a bell, then that would mean it sounds familiar to you, or you feel like you've heard or learned about that before, right? Friend A says, hey, have you heard about the new Marvel movie? And then me, I'll say, I'm not sure, but it rings a bell. Right? I'm saying, I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds familiar. Or perhaps, like someone might say, friend A says, do you know very much about the present perfect tenses? And me, I'll say, yeah, they ring a bell, but I don't know much about them. That's not true. I actually know plenty about them. Okay. So rings a bell just kind of means that it sounds familiar to you. Right? You think you've heard something about that before. Right? But you're not 100% sure. It rings a bell, but yeah. So you kind of know about it. You kind of remember it. Okay. Prince number 2, he says, how to use by far. That's interesting. All right, that's a good one. Yeah, that's an interesting question, Prince. So, by far, quote unquote, by far, this is an adverbial. All right, and it's used to emphasize degree or perhaps even quantity. To a very large degree, or quantity. All right, let's look at some examples, right? Typically, often used at the end of a clause. All right, so let's look at our kind of examples, right? I like blueberries, but I think that strawberries are better by far, right? What am I saying here, right? I think strawberries are much better, right? So by far, we can use it kind of as an alternative to much to talk about a degree of something, right? Let's see here. Playing paintball is a lot of fun, but playing laser tag is more fun by far, right? Or much more fun. All right, we can also say much more fun. Be fine. All right, so something is blah blah by far would mean like to a higher, greater degree. Okay. Now, if anyone wants to play around with some of these structures or send me some sample sentences, I'd be very, very happy to let you know how it goes. Okay. Now, Zishan has asked me several times how many tenses there are. Okay. Let's think about it. Okay. Let's see here. We got past simple, past continuous, past perfect simple, past perfect continuous. So there's four past tenses: past simple, past continuous, past perfect, past continuous, present simple, present continuous, present perfect simple, present perfect continuous, future simple, future continuous, future perfect simple, future perfect continuous. I'd say that there are 12 basic tenses. All right. Now, some people would consider voice a type of tense as well. I had 12 tenses in total, says Universal Prince. Thank you, Prince. I'll answer the questions around here. But, yeah, if you want to answer questions, okay, whatever. Yoga man with plan. Thanks for coming. Let's Google that. Let's just make sure I'm right. How many English tenses are there? 12. Right. Okay. Right. So you got the simple and the continuous, perfect simple, perfect continuous in the past, present, and future, right? 4, 8, 12. 12 tenses, all right? So there's no such thing as the present perfect tense, right? There are present perfect tenses, right? Keep that in mind, Zishan. All right, there's no such thing as a past perfect tense. There's past perfect simple and past perfect continuous. Now, if you have another question about how or why we use those tenses, be sure and ask me. Okay, I'd be happy to answer that question too. And in fact, it's a very common question that I get in my one-on-one lessons pretty frequently. Yeah, pretty frequently. Yeah, people have difficulty understanding what the heck is going on with those tenses. Now, Prince has some more questions. Let me see. Did I miss any in the chat here in Instagram? Let's zoom up here. Do auxiliary verb. What's the difference between present simple and present perfect? Okay. La, how are you? I'm good. Mukadasanam says, hey. Hey there. I can't read your name, so sorry. I'm absolutely sure I read that wrong. But you know what? That might not even be your real name, so who knows? Yeah, okay, I'm all caught up here on the Instagram chat. So no more questions there. But if someone does have questions about those perfect tenses or anything else, I'd be happy to answer. But for now, let's get back over here with Prince's questions. He's got a lot of questions. He's my question master. He's very, very good with that. Makes me very happy. Makes my life so much better and easier when someone is actually asking questions. Oh my gosh, it's so much better to do a live stream when there are questions. Let's see here. What's the difference between persuade and convince? Pretty subtle. Yeah, that's a pretty subtle difference. Pretty subtle question. I'm gonna tell you what I think is the difference, and then we're gonna look it up. Okay? So persuade, I think, is going to be a more active process. All right? You persuade someone, or you are persuading someone that's maybe presenting some kind of argument in favor or against something, and you're persuading to try and convince them. And when you're convincing someone, that means their mind is being changed, or they're changing their mind. Okay? But let's look it up. Persuade versus convince. Let's see if I'm right about that. Yeah. So, yeah, it looks like I was about basically right there. Usually convince means to cause someone to believe that something is true, and persuade means to cause someone to do something by asking, arguing, or giving reasons. They can be used interchangeably, but that is less common. Okay, sure. So even like Google, the Britannica, what is this? Encyclopedia Britannica or a Dictionary Britannica? It's a Dictionary Britannica. They're saying even there it can be interchangeable. All right. So let's type this out just so we can have a more clear, and then I'll give some examples, right? Persuade versus convince. All right. So persuade, this is more of an active process where you are trying to get someone to do something or change their mind about something. Convince, this is when you have done that and it is complete. All right? When you are persuading someone, you are typically trying to convince them that what you want is correct and they should do it. All right? Example. I spent several hours persuading my friend to come with us on our trip to, Canada or whatever. Finally, once I showed him how affordable it was, he was convinced and decided to come with us. All right? But again, we could use them interchangeably, right? I spent several hours convincing my friend to come with us on our trip to Canada. Finally, once I showed him how affordable it was, he was persuaded and decided to come with us, right? That's okay, right? We can say that too, all right? But for me, if we're talking about trying to persuade someone, and how many tenses do we use passive voice? Interesting. And it's an interesting question, Zishan. Now, my assumption is that we could use passive voice in any tense that we want, but I've never really thought about it because personally, I typically encourage people to avoid the passive voice unless it's a situation that specifically calls for it, like some sort of academic writing or like academic journal writing or something like that. But that's an interesting question, Zishan. Very interesting question. My assumption is that we should be able to use the passive voice in any tense that we want, right? Because it doesn't change anything about the tense. It only changes something about the subject-object relationship, subject-verb-object relationship. So all tenses use subject-verb-object relations, and so any tense should be able to be done in the passive voice. But I'm gonna have to dig in on that. I'm gonna have to look that up. Okay, I'll do a little bit of research on it right now. All right. Prince says only 7 tenses can be changed to passive. He believes, right? I don't know why. Why would it be 7? Like even that? Why an uneven number? Why would it be an odd number? Interesting. What makes you think that, Prince? Can you give us some sort of reasoning for that? You work on that. Yeah, you know what, Prince? Someday I'm going to have to hire you as my TA, right? Unfortunately, I can't hire anybody for anything right now because I don't make any money. No, I don't make any money doing any of this stuff, at least. But yeah, I think you would make a very good TA, Prince. So why do you think it's only 7 tenses? And are we done with persuade versus convince? Does anyone want to try that in a sentence? All right, if you want. Let's see here. Only 7 tenses can be changed to passive. Okay, yeah, interesting. I wonder how you're coming to that conclusion. I'm just going to do a little Googling and see if I can find a quick answer here and if I'm capable of explaining that answer. Mundals. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we're having a interesting discussion about passive voice and different tenses. One more very interesting point about passive voice is we can change the sentence into passive only if the verb is transitive. Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah. So I tell people all the time, I'm not the all-knowing, almighty master of everything in English. Right? There's still plenty of stuff that I also don't know or am not very good at or whatever. I did a little bit of Googling. Simple present, present continuous, simple past, past continuous, present perfect simple, past perfect simple, future simple with going to, future perfect simple. Modal verbs can be used in the passive. But modal verbs aren't different tenses, right? Well, let me do a little bit more digging on that. That's an interesting question. Very interesting question. Give me 1 second. Sorry, give me a second. How can I speak in English with confidence in public in India? So Universal Print says only 8 tenses can be changed to passive. Yeah, and if it was an even number, that would be more convincing for me. All right. Online, I'm finding that there are 10 primary tenses in English that can be used in the passive voice. Simple present, present continuous, simple past, past continuous, present perfect simple, past perfect simple, simple future with will, future continuous with will be plus present participle, though it's less common, future perfect simple, and future perfect continuous. That's 10, but it's much less common with the future ones. Yeah, Mandals. How can I speak English with confidence in public in India? Right. Well, I guess it would be the same way that you would speak English with confidence in public anywhere else, right? Not just in India. But let's think here. So there's a big difference between being confident and sounding confident. All right? So let's talk about that distinction a little bit. You can be unconfident. You can be nervous, but not sound unconfident or sound nervous. Okay? So being confident is much more difficult than sounding confident. All right? So let's talk about how you can sound or appear confident when speaking in public in India or anywhere else. All right? I have some public speaking training. So there are a few things that you need to do. Number 1, and the most important thing that you need to do is slow down. Slow it down a little bit. All right? So, speaking a little more slowly makes you appear more confident. A. B. Speaking more slowly will also limit the number of mistakes. That's good. C. Speaking more slowly will help you to be less nervous because making mistakes makes people feel nervous. All right, so you're already going to be nervous. So the typical negative cycle that happens when you're not confident with public speaking is you start speaking, you're speaking too fast. So you make a mistake. You made that mistake because you were nervous. That mistake makes you more nervous, which then makes you speak more quickly. Now you're speaking faster. So you start making more mistakes, which then makes you more nervous. So you start speaking even faster, and you start making more mistakes. All right? You see how that cycle goes. Okay, that is a negative feedback loop. So, cut that off and start and continue to go at a slow, even pace. Okay? Now, number 2, another way to at least appear or sound more confident is trying to eliminate filler words or phrases like like, and know what I mean? That kind of thing. It doesn't sound good, and it's completely meaningless language. It doesn't make you sound confident. Okay? Are you going to completely eliminate that? Well, probably not. I try my very best not to use those kinds of filler words and phrases, but I still have some sometimes too. Okay? You're not going to completely eliminate it. Mine are typically like, okay, I say that a lot. Like, do you understand? So, I use them too, but frankly, I feel pretty good about my public speaking ability. Other people have given me compliments about it, so I guess they also feel pretty good. Okay. And then, let's see, slow it down, less filler words. Finally, if you want to at least appear more confident, then especially if you're giving a planned public speaking address or some kind of planned public speaking engagement, you don't want to have your notes reading word for word your notes. People do not write like they speak. They simply don't. If you're reading some kind of letter, basically, that you've written yourself to speak in public, it will be obvious, and it does not sound good or confident. Right? Hello, I am here today to talk to you about our new product, the hair helmet. It will help you grow your hair by using a stupid red light that obviously does not work. Right? It's some stupid product I see advertised on Facebook. It's such a scam. What I would recommend is, instead of writing out word for word exactly the exact words that you want to say in the exact order you want to say them, that's going to come out sounding very mechanical and planned, which doesn't sound confident. What you should do instead is plan yourself some bullet points for the main ideas and discussion points that you want to bring up. That way, instead of spending your speaking time looking down at your notes and reading, you can spend more of your time looking up at your audience and engaging. Okay, you still have to maybe check your notes a little bit, right, every once in a while, but plan your speaking topics and bullet points. Don't plan your exact words and phrases. It's not going to work out. And finally, related to that point, engaging with the audience. You want to scan the audience. You want to act as though you're looking at these people. Sometimes you're not going to be comfortable actually making eye contact with audience members. Okay, look at the back of the room. Look at their shirts or something. All right? Whatever. But head up, shoulders back, speaking and projecting your voice and talking in a calm, cool manner with less filler words and less checking your notes. Like, that is good public speaking. Okay? So this is a collection of skills, and it takes practice. Okay? It takes practice. But if you can keep some of those things in mind, you'll sound or appear more confident. Once you have better experiences with public speaking and you feel that you've done a good job a few times, then you will feel and be more confident. So this is a fake it until you make it kind of situation. Okay. Let me know if that helps or if that clears anything up for you. Public speaking is a pretty big topic. All right. Here's an interesting fact for you. I think it's like every 5 or 10 years, there's a company called the Gallup polling company. They do a big kind of questionnaire about Americans' fears. What are people afraid of? And the top 2 fears, I think, for the last long time have been death and public speaking. Funny thing, public speaking is in first place. Death is in second place. All right? So, what does that say? It seems that there's a lot of people out there who would rather die than speak in public. They are more afraid of public speaking than they are of death. Death frightens them less than public speaking. Keep that in mind. If you feel unconfident, afraid, or nervous, that is pretty normal. That's pretty normal. Okay, nothing weird about that. Let's go down here. What's the difference? What's the difference between present simple and present simple perfect? Present perfect simple. All right. Present perfect simple, Zishan. Let's talk about that. Let's delete persuade and convince. Let me go down the rest of the chat and just make sure that I'm not missing anyone else's questions. Let me just compile them. Oh goodness, we only have 8 minutes. Difference between present simple and present perfect simple. Okay. Okay, that's the Universal Princes listing some tenses. Tinki haliwa. I don't know how to say that. Mondal says, all right. Sure. James, you have just said we should use less filler words. My doubt is, what should we do if we forget any words while talking? What can replace filler words? Okay. Good example, good question there. To replace filler words, maybe you should say, I don't know, let's say you're talking about, I don't know, whatever it is, okay? You're saying, oh, blah, 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 let's say we're talking about present perfect simple, right? The present perfect simple tense is used, let me think here, is used to talk about changes or actions through time rather than at a certain period in time. Let's see. You can, again, no one's going to completely eliminate their filler words, especially if they're engaging in, what's the word that I'm thinking of here? Gosh, I can't remember. There's this particular term for this, unplanned speech, okay? But eliminating it as much as you can and minimizing it as much as you can is best. So that's another reason why we want to slow down a little, because it gives us time to actually think more about what we're trying to say. If we're speaking at the same speed that we're talking, well, then we're probably going to end up making a lot more mistakes or saying something wrong because, we don't think perfectly and we don't talk perfectly. So you want to slow down the talking. Okay, so it's going to be better off. You're going to be better off trying to slow it down on the speaking a little bit. Okay, does that make sense? There is a word that I'm thinking of here. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't get it. Spontaneous speech. Okay, spontaneous speech. Now, you're never going to be able to completely eliminate or say exactly what you want every time, all the time in your spontaneous speaking. No one will. No one's perfect. Okay, that's fine. So just do the best you can. Slow it down. Okay, slow it down. That's going to be best. Now, Zishan, we got 5 minutes. We can talk about these difference between present simple and present perfect simple. Sure. Let's move this down here. Let's check YouTube really quick. See if someone's got something else to say here. Why? What the heck? Test. Oh, it's because a bunch of messages were retracted. Okay, that makes sense. Well, Prince, we're not going to be able to get to all of your questions. How do you have your cake and eat it too? I saw that you posted that question on the question video, and I'm going to answer that, okay? So don't worry. I'll answer that. Run of the mill, keep me in the loop, keep me posted, get ahead of oneself. Okay. So I can answer those. I think I saw a few of those questions in the question video. All right. So like I said earlier, I'm a week behind on all of my reading for all of my classes. So I've been a little busy trying to catch up on all of that. All right. But once I'm caught up, then I'll have more time to devote to social media and Instagram stuff. Okay. So let's get into Zishan's question here. All right. First, let's talk a little bit about the difference between simple and continuous normal tenses and perfect tenses in general. Okay? So, present simple, I'm going to abbreviate this by saying PR simp. All right? Present simple, this is used to talk about general facts or repeated and habitual situations. All right. Present continuous, I'm abbreviating that by saying PR cont. Present continuous. This is to talk about something that's actually happening now or around now. All right. Now, perfect tenses, okay, simple tenses are used to talk about instances. Past simple is something that happened in the past and it's over. Future simple is something that's going to happen at a particular time in the future and then it's over. Continuous tenses are talking about actions or activities ongoing during a certain period of time. A certain period in the past was having a live stream. A certain period in the present am having a live stream. A certain period in the future will be having a live stream. But perfect tenses, these talk about relationships and activities through time. Okay? So the past perfect, this is like past perfect simple. This is something that started farther in the past and stopped still in the past, but the more recent past. Present perfect. This is talking about something that started sometime in the past and continues or has stopped very recently in the present or continues in the present. From past to present. Future perfect tenses are something that starts around now or in the near future, starting now or in the future, and continuing to the far future. Okay? So, simple tenses, past simple and future simple, are boom, a certain point in time. Continuous tenses are a certain chunk of time in that zone of time, past, present, future. Perfect tenses are through periods of time. Okay? So the difference between present simple and present perfect simple actually is quite minor sometimes. Okay? Because present simple is not typically talking about reality as it happens now. Present simple is talking about general facts or repetitive situations. Present perfect simple is typically used to talk about some kind of life experience, but we don't have to specify when it happened, right? I wake up at 7 a.m. Okay, I wake up at 7 a.m. This is a repetitive or habitual situation. It happens often. Did it actually happen today? No. All right, no, it didn't happen today, but it's a general fact. It's a repetitive situation. It happens often. So maybe I can add more information, right? I wake up at 7 a.m., usually Monday through Friday. Okay, more information, more accurate, sure. Now, how do I talk about the present perfect simple? I have woken up at 7 a.m. for years. Now you know, sometime in the past, I started to wake up at 7 a.m., and it continues now for years, right? That's not super specific. I watch a show called Dr. House. Right? My wife and I watch a show called Dr. House. Okay. I have watched a show called Dr. House with my wife for a few weeks. Now, like in the present simple, you don't know. This is just a general fact. We don't know when this started, how often. We don't know. All right. But I have watched a show with my wife, a show called Dr. House with my wife for weeks. Okay, so we know some weeks ago in the past this started, and it continues now. All right, I have read the Harry Potter books. Okay, I like to read. I have read many books. I like to read general statement of a general fact. I have read many books from some point in the past up through time to now. Many books, I've read many of them. All right. This is a complicated topic, right? Perfect tenses are typically not taught very well. And, no disrespect to anybody in particular, but they're not taught very well by non-native speakers. I've noticed this pattern. If you do not understand something well, you cannot teach that thing well. Right? So it leads to further and further, worse and worse misunderstandings of that tense or of those topics. All right. That's why in my absolutely miserably failed advertising campaign for my no longer offered subscription plan, I would talk about that. So non-native teachers are fine. I mean, they can help, but it's always better to learn from a native teacher if you can, right? If you can afford it or if you got the time for it. That's why my subscription plan, I priced it to be very affordable for people, but of course no one wanted it. Okay, now we're a little over time on the live stream this week. I see a couple of people just recently joined. Sorry, you're an hour late. All right, please be happy to join next time. I'd love to see you here next time, but you're going to want to come an hour earlier. Okay, so same time next week, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching, and especially thank you for the questions. If you want to review the information that I wrote down or went over, I would highly recommend watching it on YouTube. Okay, it's 12 p.m. in India. I think that is incorrect, sir. I think it's nighttime in India, the middle of the night, making it 12 a.m. It's 12:30 p.m. for me. I'm pretty sure it's 12 a.m. for you, right? So I started earlier for people in India. I used to start at 12:30 p.m. my time. Then I put it back an hour, and then our time changed because of daylight savings. So give it another couple of months, and it's going to start 2 hours earlier. Okay, but I think it's 12 a.m. for you guys. And keeping that in mind. Yeah. Smiley face. All right. So, everybody, come on back next week. If you can't make it, hey, watch it on YouTube. Submit some comments. Ask some questions in the comments. That's completely fine. Okay? Again, thanks for watching. And remember, if you need help with your English, you need www.needhelpenglish.com or just join us on Instagram. All right? Education, training, success. We'll see you later. Shut this down. And we're going to stop streaming on